Forcing the issue of like he's inside of the face, and that's going to be 5 in a row. How about 6? On the fetch punch.
There's 2, there's 3.
Haters talking to me, tell them pipe down. Or it's lights out, zeros on the debit, baby, all I do is swipe now. Gucci sweater 5,000, stunning, buzzing. I be going up, no ceiling. Wow, ballin', running, getting to the paper, I'm peeling out. They gon' know me as legendary. You in the stands, I ain't need no commentary. They gon' know me as legendary. You in the stands, I ain't need no commentary. Ain't no option, ain't no secondary. I just throw it out like a Hail Mary.
The madness, it continues. I gotta keep this short. I'm worried about my voice after that last one, but for the #2 team all of last year, Toronto Ultra, the Kings of the North, look to get things back on track. On the other side, Boston Breach, the Cinderella story. Does it end here, or is it a miracle in the making? Let's meet our teams. First up, baby, we got Toronto Ultra. Benz, Cammy, Insight, Kleenex.
I'm glad to see that the vibes are high on this Toronto Ultra squad after that earlier match. I mean, they're ready to rock and roll. Look at them stretching out on stage. All right, Insight, I know you can hit those snipes for me, man.
All right, after that loss to the London Royal Ravens, the Europeans are ready to pick it up another notch. Maven, what's next?
Zinni for the winning. They're trying to make this run with a mix of veterans and youth. As I said, it's a Cinderella story. Can they keep it going? It will be one incredible upset they can get it done. Let's take a look at the team. Boston Breach. Capsidal, Methodz, TJ, and Nero.
Going top 6 in their very first ever CDL major. Boston Breach are looking to take it all the way.
They're trying to make it to top 4 in this match, and they got their work cut out for them. The young guy in Nero was popping off earlier, as well as the veteran in Methodz. You've seen the vibes on that stage. These guys are ready for action, man.
Young gunners and vets combined. Boston Breach are trying to make some noise.
Absolutely, crowd. I know the last one was crazy, but we got some more. Come on, we got more. A few more matches today. How crazy Major 1 has been. Ultra, Breach. It starts now. Lando and Study. Let's get it going.
Thank you so much, Maven. Absolutely, buddy. It is going to be an amazing, amazing series. As we said, this is for top 4. Loser goes out top 6. Jay, one team we fully expect to be in that top 4. The other, there's question marks around that being Boston.
Yeah, I'm excited for this series, man. Obviously, Boston, they're just trying to continue that Cinderella story. Getting that 3-2 victory over Florida, for such a young team, that's perfect because when you put themselves in this situation, it gets a little bit better. You're on the main stage, the crowd is probably not in your favor, and so far, they've just answered the call. They woke up today, they played Paris Legion, they dominated it 3-1. On the opposite side for Toronto, though, that series versus London, it was really close. 15-point hard point, came down to 1 round in the search and destroy, all the way to a round 5 in the control. This is going to be an absolute banger series as long as Boston can keep up in the slaying like they did in the last.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think aLLeY brought up an excellent point. Like, what are the vibes going to be like for this Toronto team? You know, whenever they walk out, it seems as if they're high, but it has to sting a little bit, right? Yeah. You just lost to the other European squad, the roster that's trying to obviously take your mantle as the best team in Europe. And obviously from the other side, the Boston Breach, the Cinderella story so far here at our OpTic Texas major. Zinni and the boys are going to give it their best shot possible to see if they can make it into the top 4. I mean, what? It was Zed, I think, on Breaking Point, a little podcast, I want to say, that he was talking about this team. He said, you know what? We're happy if we get to top 6. Imagine if they can get to top 4, their very first major. What a story that it would be for this Breach team, and a young roster at that, Jay.
Yeah, I'm excited for this young Boston roster, especially a player like Nero. He went throughout the entire qualifiers by dropping like a 0.9, but in that last series, he was a 1.2. And even in his interview, when he said he's playing that confident, it's going to be really hard to kill the guy. So he needs to keep up that same momentum going against this team.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we talked about a number of different players to look out for. I mean, when we're looking at this series, when we're looking at Breach specifically, Nero has been the talking point. I mean, you and I have casted, multiple Boston Breach games. He is the player to look out for. Now, I know we didn't get a chance to look at the maps and modes. We'll do that in a little bit, but we gotta focus solely on this Gavutsu hardpoint because, Jay, when I'm looking at that graphic, it doesn't look all the most promising for the Toronto win.
Yeah, obviously for Toronto, they're sitting at 0-2. On the opposite side for Boston, they're 1-1. But for Toronto, they played it twice when they came here. That was their auto veto before they entered the major. And unfortunately, they went up against a team like the Thieves, and that was not going to be close. That's their best map. And then even versus London, they lose that by 15 points. And it all came down to that P3 hardpoint. So if I'm Toronto, I just want to make sure that when we get that P3, we need to get that P4 because that is exactly the way that London were able to get back into that game. A full 120 seconds on P4 Money Hill.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, actually, we'll have the opportunity to take a look at our maps and modes. We were flying into Gavutsu. It's all good. Gavutsu hardpoint for game 1, Berlin Search and Destroy, followed up by a Gavutsu control in the center, Berlin hardpoint, and if it can go the distance, a Tuscan Search and Destroy. Jay, those first 4 maps for Ultra look very, very similar. I want to say those are all 4 that they played versus the Ravens.
And I would do the exact same thing if I was the Ultra because every single map was just so close. But I feel like this series is going to come down to the control. On one side, you have Boston, we're sitting at 1-4 on Gavutsu. They have the only win that they have gotten is when they actually had defense round number 5. On the opposite side for the Ultra, they're sitting at 1-1. So this series for me, I feel like both of these teams are powerhouse search and destroy teams. Toronto, they have been struggling as of recent in their hardpoint, 0-4 ever since they entered the major. They need to answer that call early into the series.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit, I guess you could say, like the Toronto Ultra of old where hardpoint wasn't great, search, destroy, control. That's where they saw success. But by no means do you expect for a Toronto-like roster to be winless so far in hardpoint. I mean, we can talk about that a number of different times. When it comes down to this series, we talk about, Toronto Ultra, considered to be the favorites in this match, without a doubt. I mean, Des talked about it. Bryce literally even went to it to say that it arguably could be a David versus Goliath type of battle. For the Breach, and how important is it to get that confidence early, and specifically on a map where Toronto hasn't looked great on?
Yeah, for Boston, to come out here and win this first map, you got to basically do the exact same thing that London were able to do. To go back and forth at least for the first 3 hard points, but when you have that rotation towards a Money Hill, you have to hold it because Ultra, they're so good at just coordinating their team pushes, and you cannot allow that to eventually lead to a break on a hard point because if you allow Ultra to go on some streaks, eventually just easy off the rotation, they would just run away with the game.
Yeah, without question. Well, I know we're having a few issues getting into the game. We apologize for that. I think everything's getting sorted. The crowd's wild, by the way. Can I just say, the Arlington has been absolutely unbelievable.
Insane.
I mean, we're comparing it to some of the greatest crowds that we've seen in COD history. There was a lot of people talking to me about how, the UK crowds are the best. And I got to say, we'll see how that compares. But this Texas crowd is absolutely wild. And I know that they are rearing and gearing to get into our first hardpoint, which is just right around the corner. But both teams, Jay, Breach specifically, we've got them on our screens. As we said, the underdog coming into this game, the player to look out for is who?
It's got to be Nero. He has to keep up that same performance. Methodz is going to do exactly what he was able to do. He had a 1.11 last series, really clutches up in the search and destroys. He's the main AR that just puts himself in great positions to pick up these kills. But the consistent player has to be TJ. TJ is their X factor for me. This is a guy who can potentially take over maps whenever he wants. If he can step up in this game versus SMGs like Kleenex and Bance, oh, it's going to be a great story for Boston.
Yeah, man. I think alongside Nero, one guy that we had to talk about in this series, by the way, is Zinni, right? Yeah. Methodz is going up against his prior team. When we talk about, all the drama around that no Zinni, no Winnie, all of the drama, right, with Insight getting added to this team, this is a grudge match. What, is this the first time that he's played the Ultra?
Yeah, this has got to be a redemption match for Methodz.
And you can see the numbers, obviously, reflected there was having, I think it was a number of different people on social media who had outrage about Methodz being taken down from this team, an unproven European challenger player in Insight being brought into Toronto, and we obviously know how that story ends, or at least how it has continued, right? Nothing short of a top 3 finish since he has been added to this team. A big game for Methodz, and as we said, man, he takes a huge responsibility on this Boston Breach team. But we talk about a number of different young players, 2 rookies. Obviously, you have TJ on this team, but obviously with the stream numbers, with the huge story on his name, the ability to enter into the stream game, to be able to have that massive fan base now, and to really launch the newest brand in the CDL, a lot falls on his shoulders, and in the grudge match as well.
I know, but to get a top 6 in your very first event, very first major with a brand new team, you got to be feeling really good. Like Zed said, man, you just got to get top 6 and we'll be happy. But if you can get top 4 versus a team like the Ultra, who were the second best team we had all last year, oh man, the ceiling is super high for Boston.
It absolutely is, and I think when we talk about players who arguably can be the catalyst, right, into rising this Breach team up, we got to talk about Big Cap as well. I mean, what? The guy was literally at the back of the entirety of the team, just like you guys can see me. I don't care. All 3 of these guys could stand in front of me, and it's not going to matter. We are always looking at Big Cap. Obviously, he and I have a special relationship a little bit. You know, the streak that he went on a kickoff classic. We'll see if he can put up some similar highlights because they are going to need him at his best. As we fly in for Gavutu Hardpoint. It's official. It's happening. I'm told that it's loading up.
And I know that Des touched on it, what player to watch on the side of the Ultra, and they were saying Insight. But for me, I think it has to be Vance. In that last series, he had a .74. This is a guy with the SMG in his hand that's usually putting himself in great position to shoot the opponents in the back. And obviously in that last series versus London, it was just too much aggression for him to properly set up. So if you allow Vance to really take over this series, that eventually opens up these lanes for Insights for him to put up better numbers.
Yeah, without a question, my friend. And also, I know we just looked at the Toronto numbers in terms of ranks right amongst the rest of the CDL. Vance specifically in that Gavutu Hardpoint versus London, 16 and 27. So this is the perfect map, the perfect opportunity for a player like Vance to go off. Here we go, Arlington, our 4th game of the day. Still one more to go, but we'll see if this one can live up to the OpTic FaZe type of hype, as it is Vance, the man that we just talked about. He gets sent flying as P1 in primary position on Gavutu specifically. Great work for Toronto. 12 unanswered points.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for Boston because that's going to be 4 dead in the feed. Toronto with 30 seconds remaining on this P1 hardpoint. So far, starting this off flawlessly. And you already have Vance in a position off the rotation. He finds another 2 kills. And with 20 seconds left, this can start to bleed for Boston. You need to make sure you get to that ship side for that P2.
I mean, this is already, like, somewhat scary. Boston are just trying to, take a few fights toward the beach end. They're not getting anything done. It's going to be a perfect hold for Toronto at P1. And now off to the races we go. A current 1 versus 1. CleanX not able to round the corner. And there we have it. Nero making the nice 2-piece. Does eventually fall, but he will set up the breach to walk away with a few of their early seconds. Cammy, for God's sake, nearly takes down the whole team and then some. A nice little 5 spree. Toronto are here.
And CleanX, he was able to find 2 in the feed on a 2 spree. Right now, the Ultra, they're just trying to play these kills, trying to put themselves in a position where they could potentially pick up some kills for that P3 hardpoint. Methodz, he does find that kill onto CleanX. They take care of the player that was one on the flank, and so far, this has been a flawless hardpoint from the Ultra when it comes down to getting the time, when it comes down to getting the kills, and getting the rotations. Right now, Ultra, they should be able to get this remaining 20 seconds, but that's going to be a clean 4 dead for Boston. They break in.
But you see, though, right, what it takes for the breach just to get past the early layer there of that Ultra roster. It's Methodz who has to put up 3, has to win some unfavorable fights, as the breach will be able to tag on 20 points as we head into our 3rd rotation on this first side. And it is going to be TJ first here, Boston prepared. And as we know on Gavutu, this hill specifically can be a money hill. A great opportunity, but Insight finds himself on the flank. That's a big kill.
Big kill coming in from Insight. The spawn should flip now, as the Ultra are going to take it back. Insight with great wall bang onto Nero. That's going to be a clean 4 dead. Last player is going to be Methodz towards top ring. And you see the pressure from Ultra. They're already pushing it out. Cammy finds 2. Vance, he spots the last player. Unfortunately, does not win the gunfight. But we were saying, Ultra, they just need to fix those little mistakes. In that series versus London, they lost by 15 points, and so far, they answered it early.
Yeah, they absolutely have. Thankfully, if you are a Breach fan, TJ has an opportunity to contest this. Vance with FMJ putting in all kinds of damage over at the tank. Someone angry about not winning the fight says, you know what, the automaton's not working out. Let me go pull up the pistol and get this job done. The race is on as we head toward our next hill, and it's currently a 1v1. You're looking at CleanX specifically around the corner and is able to drop Methodz, the first player there. A big moment right now for Toby. The pistol continues to fire well for Toronto. That was the farthest pushed up player, so he gets silenced. Breach still with spawns.
This is great for Breach. The only player that's going to be farthest pushed up is going to be Vance. Trying to call some positive. Methodz is going to take care of him. So Boston secure the spawns, only being down by 30 points. 40 seconds remaining on this hill. Ultra, we watched them versus London. They could not break in. Want to take your time, try to put a couple kills together, and that's going to do it. That's going to be 3 dead in the feed. The contestants here, TJ has to try to go big.
And there's still a lot of valuable time. If you're Toronto, we'll see how they look to play this and how the spawns will appear on the map as well for Breach. Still spawning in the back line, so 20 seconds left. Somebody for Toronto can just back up and prepare for the next hill. It's very well coordinated out of the Ultra, as that will be a nice little 3-wipe there for Boston. So they'll grab the final 8 seconds. But again, if you're Toronto, you're not too angry about that, as your goal was not to get the spawns at that 25-second mark anyway. So prepared for next, nearing that century mark, as Insight will wipe up the farthest pushed up player over at the boat. And still lingering, as he could be a problem. Nicely handled there from the Breach, but again, the layers only continue to show themselves for Ultra.
And just pay attention to number 7. He's the player that's trying to go for the flank, but Insight is able to take him down, secure the spawns for Ultra once again. Cammy doing everything he can to hold down top. Should be 5-1, finds the second as well. One player that is trying to push up is number 6, which is going to be Methodz. There's only 25 seconds left on his hard point. Look at number 4, already thinking next. Clean X off the rotation.
And that's the scariest part, right, about this Toronto team is on a map like Kavutu, and it almost feels like the chess pieces are moving on the board, a map that oftentimes comes down to those rotations. Well, it hasn't been great for Toronto. You feel like on a map like this, they could start to get their feet wet. We've got a double listen in. Let's start things off with the Ultra side, though.
Where's it? Low. Since we close 2 low. Nero's in. Put on top.
One more top out.
Nero low, dad. One more in, low me.
Top out. Dead.
Nice.
Then we, their side. Inner, inside the ring.
He's needing me.
Dude.
Go on.
Then on
he's top. In it.
Their side, dad.
He's in it.
Yeah, he's still in there.
That's one.
That's one.
In it. Last guy.
Yeah.
I'm one shot, bro. I need help.
No time.
We can.
Stay down.
One more. Come on.
Nice cap.
Keep it up. One more.
Sin's absolute. No, someone gets it.
S1.
Nero no.
S1.
Nero no.
Nice. One more.
Oh, absolute no.
All good.
Then you.
Already in there.
Yeah, Sin's gonna be mid tank. Or yeah, Sin.
He's pushed out P5. Teach.
Not the same guy.
P5. No P5. Like front box.
I'm waiting for the guy.
That's one.
Nero no.
Try and hold over me, Cam.
Where's the other?
Listen, Zim and Tank and Zin's on Nero's on ult. Nice. Nero no.
Oh my god. Last guy.
Close like that.
Nice, good.
Last guy. P4.
That's one. Dead.
Push
Nice,
off.
good chip.
Wait,
can you?
already top cliff.
Just got blown up by random on.
I'll get time.
One more cliff. Down. He's low rocks.
Yeah, really low.
Low rocks. Just play our side for a sec. We're gonna nade over.
Dad, one more close to me.
Coming 10. He's gonna S2. Win S1.
Okay, I'll try play.
Cap on time. Absolutely.
Win S1. I'm there time. Wait.
Hold on.
We got their steps.
He's already on new. He's already on new.
Their steps.
He's beyond the rock.
All good.
He's top.
One top. Yep.
I don't see top out. Top out's dead. Nice, on the stairs. No, wait.
Take.
Kill that guy for me. I'm laying down.
He's dead.
Alright, top. Let's go.
Take. He's running back 30 steps fast.
Second cut, guys. Don't need rings in. Top ring back, guys. They're in timer. One break here.
Top ring. Top ring. Vance, I need to hit him.
Where you at? I'm top tower right now.
Okay. Vance was top ring.
I'm dating top ring. I need a top ring.
What help you top ring?
Watch out. Get top ring. In the back.
I'm dating time.
Place in the back. I'm gonna come to first cut. Let's go. Could be top.
Anytime.
Place is in the back. Time.
I'm in the back. Top ring on you.
Quick time. No, you got me. Deep second cut. Last guy.
Up the mini deep.
He cut already crossed. Second cut. Watch out.
Okay.
I did it over.
Watch the second cut, Dad.
Deep. I have a ring finish. Get time. I'm in top. I'm top dead.
That's three.
Keep it going mid. Pick up right. Yeah, I'm right. Who we missing? Inside. We're looking for first inside.
No,
Toby.
They're gonna take that.
That's all right. Okay. Let's fucking go. Take the fucking shit. Keep playing. I'm going cliff here. I'm going cliff.
Yeah.
Open you left.
Cliff on me. Dead.
Nice. I'm right now.
Okay.
Open you.
I got two. Another mid take. Wait,
Tempo. They all left. Watch out mid. Watch out mid door. Our steps. Watch out. Our steps.
Hitting
Watch out, Toby.
I needed it.
You want me to look cliff?
Back.
Watch out dead. Toby.
That sounds like a man who's facing off against his old team. Methodz leading the way, 29-14. making some big plays over at the beach, and now the rotation is in, and Breach have got that one as well. Boston were down a good 40, 50 points, and now Jay, they have got the advantage, and they cannot seem to miss.
Methodz is stepping up in the hugest moments, trying to complete the revenge tour, 29 and 15. Just going absolutely off. This has been a full hold coming in from Boston to take this lead. Up by 25 points, 20 seconds remaining on this point. If you're Ultra, you have to start thinking about that rotation, but you do not want to give up all this junk time. Here comes Insight, trying to do everything he can to contest. He's going to drop. Cammy, he's going to be the next line of defense. With 10 seconds left, though, pay attention to number 7. Kleenexes wins a huge gunfight off the rotations. Boston, Methodz has this glide bomb to work with. Only a matter of time before he uses it.
Yeah, this is the time to use it, right? I mean, this is a perfect opportunity as Methodz will look to get in position, and here comes the glide bomb. We'll see what damage this can do, at least getting information for the team. No official kill in, but as we said, the information is priceless. As Capsidal will look to try and make something happen. Players dealt with not just Cap, but also TJ on the flank. Boston spawning over at P3, so they're not going to be too far away. But Vance seems to be dealing with them all the nicer, as it's all on the inside. In the point, he gets dealt with as well. Boston will break, and what a perfect time that it could be for them as well. Nobody from Ultra can seem to get close. Again, the streak comes in, makes all the difference. Here comes Cammy, though, doing everything he can to try to prevent what seems to be the momentum absolutely shifting toward the breach end.
And Boston cannot win here, but pay attention to your minimap. TJ, he's going to be the player that tries to make a play. Unfortunately, he's going to take a couple shots, give him his positioning, and he does get taken down. Next line of defense is going to be Cap. Takes down 1, takes down 2. He's going to be here. He just has to try to stay alive. Unfortunately, he does drop, and Ultra take control.
Ultra with control. Breach know how close that they are. 12 seconds away, but it could be Nero. It could be Nero who makes the play. At least is able to take down 1. Overall traded, but now it can set up TJ. It's a double flank from Boston, and they'll make the break. The break is in for Breach. They've done it. But Toronto, can they get here in time? 5 more seconds. Ultra getting dealt with. Insight falls. Last player is Cammy. And Boston will answer in our opening hard point. Methodz is looking at the other side and says, remember me? Remember me?
Unbelievable plays coming in from Boston to be down 60 points. When we went in for that double listening, on the side of Ultra, usually when we're going for their listening, they're always calm, cool, and collected. They had a little more pep in their step when it came to the comms, but when we switched over to Boston, you can just tell the momentum was starting to get in their side. Methodz was picking up kill after kill. Once he put himself in that position to get those kill streaks, they were down by at least 10 points. They also had that rotation to P4, and I told you, for the Ultra, when they went up against London, they could not break into that P4 hard point. Boston were able to hold down that money hill, grow themselves such a lead, and then eventually flip those spawns at the very end. Great plays coming in from Boston to answer early into this series.
And you and I talked about it, right? If you are the underdog coming into a series, what better way to answer than in the opening hardpoint? And they did exactly that. I mean, look at the score. Look at the way that it started off for Toronto. They were flawless after the first hill. But again, it comes down to that streak from Methodz. And I know that we were in the comms in that moment. You obviously heard the breach hyping up their captain, hyping up the guy who they want, right, to help get his revenge. Excellent plays from Boston, but it cannot be understated, Jay. Ultra's struggles in hardpoint now 0-5 at the major.
Yeah, that's insane to say, because when you think about the Ultra, usually they get it done when it comes to their teamwork. They don't really have to pick up a lot of kills. They're always going to do the fundamental things correct. But for some reason on this map, that puts them now at 0-3 versus a team like Boston, who like this map, who don't really see a lot of success though. They just came out and put on an absolute performance. Shout out to Zinni, man. Zinni for the winning.
Without a doubt, Zinni showing us exactly why that is the case. Better days ahead indeed. A great answer early out of the Boston side. Let's go and see how socials reacting to this one. This one coming through from Chloe. She says, this man Zinni playing to make Ultra want him back. And I gotta say, if Zinni's gonna be playing like that, they may be making some considerations. I don't know.
I know, and it's got to be more scary now for the Ultra, because versus a team like Boston, they haven't really seen a lot of success in hardpoint. But now they're going into a Berlin search and destroy, where Boston are sitting at 3-1. On the opposite side, Toronto have only played this twice. The first time that they lost, it was all the way in round 11.
Seattle,
accuracy,
right?
yeah. He was able to hit that clutch defuse. And then yesterday, they were able to win it all the way in a 6-5 as well. I mean, actually today versus London. So this is going to be an intense search and destroy. If Ultra do not answer here, it's basically going to be done.
And that's why it's scary, man. As we said, the opening hard points, the hard points in general for Toronto, it's untypical. As we said, I mean, it wasn't as if they were the best team in hardpoint last year, but the search destroys, that coinciding with the controls. Now being in a position like this, it just makes you wonder what Breach have got cooked up for us. I mean, what they could have prepared in this next search destroy. You know, this is a team who is all about teamwork. This is a roster who knows, right? They don't necessarily have the top slayers in the entirety of the game, but with that awareness, as we said, it makes them that much scarier in search and destroy. And so far this season, let's go and take a look at our top performers in SNDJ.
Look at Cap. 1.27, and keep in mind in that series versus Florida, Cap had a huge 1v2 clutch to just give them that momentum to close out that map. On the opposite side, you have Insight. He was able to put on an absolute clinic with the sniper. He needs to have that same performance here. But even though we have both of these guys on our screen, for Toronto to come out and win this search and destroy, it has to be Bance for me. Bance is the guy that's going to be putting himself in great positions with that OBJ. Planting the bomb, sitting in corners on the bomb site. He has to step up here because on that first map, he was just not putting it all together and went -10, I believe.
Yeah, man. See if Bance can turn it around. Toronto going to have to hit the regame button because they're going to need it. As we said, they dropped the opening hardpoint, and now Boston put in a position to succeed. A Berlin search destroy up next. We'll see if David can strike again versus good old Goliath. As we said, this match is for top 4. A lot on the line, whether it's just confidence in general if you're Toronto trying to showcase that, hey, we still are a top team in the game, while Breach at their very first major as an organization trying to go as far as they can, trying to make it to CDL Sunday. What a story that we have got. And as you said, Jay, the records, they speak for themselves.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Boston are able to bring here because just based off that momentum, based off the listening, the energy is definitely there. And the biggest thing that I took is TJ. He was asking for, hey, Cap, where are you? He was asking for that information and being that leader. But here we go. Methodz able to spot that player.
Is that Bance this night?
I think so. Capsidal opens up with that first blood.
Nice job there from Cap. As we said, the story around Toronto has been Insight, right? With the sniper, the difference that has been with him grabbing it instead of Cammy, but maybe a little bit of an audible coming out for Toronto. We'll see how that works out for him. On the other side, it's actually Cap who's got the sniper. Back and forth we go, but it's Bance who wins the fight and brings things now to a level heading. 3 versus 3 as the bomb looks to get planted at that B site. Cap still hunting for information.
45 seconds. Insight able to take that player off bomb, turn it immediately into a 3v2, but pay attention to Bance. He's going to be that player on flank. Insight, he does hop the bomb.
Cap hits it. Great shot from Cap that wipes him off. What could have been a defuse. Kleenex aware of the position. Drops him. Now it's all on the TJ. Gonna have to defend this site with all his heart, but Kleenex rounding the corner's gonna spot him. Nice little retake there for Toronto. It got a little bit scary. Felt like for a moment, Jay, that Cap was not gonna see Insight on that defuse. He wipes him off. It then sets up something for TJ, but Kleenex there to read him, and Toronto grab our first.
And right there, you could just tell that the Ultra did their homework. Even though they ended up getting first blood, they sent Bance towards the back alley, knowing the positioning of Methodz towards that top treehouse. He was able to take him down, force it to a 3v3, and then eventually when Insight finds that kill onto the player on bomb, they set up the pinch. They were able to find the kills and eventually close out the round. Good defensive hold coming in from the Ultra, even after getting first blooded. Boston now on the defense. And Ultra going to send 3 players towards this A bomb. Cammy's going to give the information that 2 players are going to be there, so they have the man advantage. Insight gets the first.
That's also going to help your case as well if you are the attacking team. As we always like to discuss, the team with the objective, those first bloods mean that much more for them. How about Cap? Taking a different angle at the gunfight, and clearly it will work out. Meanwhile, the plant is going to be successful for Bance. Insight, great opportunity for a kill, lines it up, and will make it land. Breach now with the man disadvantage, and Bance very well could have some info on 1. Round in the corner he goes. Information not going to be gained. Nero takes down Kleenex. A 2 versus 2 down to the Røkkr from the Boston. Ends up close, but Bance has got a shoulder ready for Nero. Cap on the other side. Now we'll make it a 1v1. Capsidal versus Insight.
Insight, he's just playing that. He's not going to hop this bomb. He does have that sniper to work with. Unfortunately, he's not going to be a lot of time for Cap to work with, so Ultra are going to be able to chain 2 rounds together. Insight wins that with a pistol? That was a pistol across the hallway?
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
I saw Dashy doing some wild things with the pistol earlier.
Yeah, he's a freak.
Okay, so
okay,
it
not
wasn't.
a pistol.
I have to say, it sounded like it, but to be fair, Jay, the rat also could double as a secondary.
100%.
Double as a primary, rather, for a lot of our players.
100%. But right there, that round simply comes down to Insight just taking his patience on the flank. Once he finds that kill onto TJ, turns it into a 3v2, even though his teammates die across the map. On the side of Boston, they knew that he was playing the spawn, but repositions himself and eventually clutches out the round. Now we go on the offensive side. For Boston, it's going to be an all-out B push. Insight, can he hit a shot? Unfortunately, he does not. Capsidal was able to make his way towards bomb.
Yeah, Ben says, not having a great this time with the sniper. Let's go and toss it back over to you, Insight. Meanwhile, talking about Bance, he will drop for the first blood. Nero there to grab him, and Capsidal, he's making himself quite comfortable inside of the docks. And Insight up close, as we said, with that sniper. Looking for the angle, obviously aware of the typical positioning at the warehouse. CleanX first on in. Cap will win that fight as well. Is the rat prepared? Is the pistol ready to go? Cap lingering, still roaming. 20 seconds left. Ultra have got to make a play. They've got to get on this. Still Breach with a double man advantage. It's a 4 versus 2. And Toronto are letting the time tick away. Big Cap with some big kills. All on to Insight. And this one's going to be done. Big Cap makes that site his own. Plants down the bomb, destroys the doors, and takes down everybody inside.
Just early aggression coming in from Boston. Once they were able to get that bomb down, they get the first blood. And then you see Insight, like, he was playing it really slow. He's on a 3 spree, potentially playing for some streaks, because he knows it's a 4v2. We have no players approaching the flank. Like, it's going to be impossible to try to take these guys out of that back warehouse. So Boston are able to get the round and also shut down Insight's potential streaks. Now they go into a defense. We saw what the Ultra were able to do. Now it's just full-out attack towards that A bomb. They're going to commit towards it once again.
Insight still with the big boy. Cap says, you know what? I would like to continue on my little spree that I've got going. Wipes away half of the Ultra, and Nero will find Insight. These Røkkrs are hungry. Give them all 4.
And we were wondering why Cap has a 1.27 in S&D. He is not afraid to be a risk taker. He goes right down the middle of the map, puts himself right through that secret door, finds 2, and eventually gets out with his life. 4v2 situation, your SMGs are flying and frying. The young guns both get 2 on the round, tied up at 2 apiece.
Young guys are hungry. You got to feed them. That's exactly what you want to see if you're a Boston fan as well. But we talk about, the strengths of this team throughout the entirety of the season. The big conversation around Breach was that, maybe they could be good at hardpoint, who knows, control, all that stuff. But Search and Destroy can be where they win. As TJ continuing to look great in the early rounds, he ends up getting taken down by the nice shot from CleanX. So we got everybody from Ultra rocking out the sniper. Meanwhile, it is Boston getting ever closer toward that A site.
And CleanX, he was able to spot a player, but Nero, he's going to be able to get this bomb down and get away with his life. So on number 3, which is going to be Insight, he's going to be that player that tries to work his way through the middle of the map. 35 seconds. CleanX does have this sniping hit. Unfortunately, Methodz is going to read his position, puts down a couple shots. 30 seconds left. Nero's able to take down 1.
Maybe it was on the defuse. He ends up getting taken down. Boston all aware of the way that Ultra like to play these situations. Nero, here we go. That's going to be 1. A few extra shots, and that will be a perfect pinch out of Boston. And as you said, Jay, it came down to CleanX having the sniper over toward gold. Nero's able to plant it, get away with his life, and from there, Ultra just couldn't find him.
Yeah, it's just so far, it's been textbook search and destroy from Boston. They get that bomb down, they make sure they're watching their flank, they make sure they're watching the middle of the map, not allowing anyone to be a playmaker on the opposite side. And then they're just slowly picking apart. Their SMGs are making plays. Once they find that 1 kill, someone's going on the late flank, someone's trying to set up a play. And so far, Boston have put 3 rounds together.
Look at his numbers.
3. Unbelievable.
Methodz and TJ are just happily just sitting in the backpack right now. Capsidal 10 and 3. Nero as well having a great search destroy so far, but Cap finally getting taken down. A sweat off the brow type of situation if you're Ultra, just to get Capsidal out of this round at the least. First blood granted, and they will also find the second. A sneaky little Nero trying to make his way around the flank. He will get dealt with. We talk about the Rooks. Now it's time for the vets to go clutch, and that's the best way to start it off.
TJ takes down one, and they know Insight is on the left side of the map. But Ultra, they're not going to waste any time. We're going to go for the immediate bomb plant. Still have the man advantage. Insight is covering so much of the map right now. TJ does find one, makes it a 2v2. Vance gives up his information. He's able to win the gunfight. And now Methodz in a 1v2.
Can Methodz be the Iceman? TJ having a big part already. Now sets up the captain for the 1v2. Time continues to tick away, and that will sit in Method's mind. So many different crossfires, so many angles where Toronto could be, yet to show themselves, yet to reveal anything. And that will be a round granted for Toronto. Not enough time for Methodz, and obviously the fact that he hasn't found either of the players is going to give Ultra a round that they desperately need, having to stop the momentum, having to slow down what is a very, very hype Breach team at the moment. But again, Jay, getting Capsidal out of the round, I think, set Toronto up for a decent amount of success.
Yeah, that was a perfect play coming in from the Ultra. They 3 committed towards back alley, and as Capsidal was trying to rotate his way out, gets all that information that, hey, they're not going to probably approach this A-bomb, right, but they catch him off guard, hit through back alley, take control, get the bomb down, then eventually close out the round. Capsidal sitting at 10-4. It's going to be super aggressive towards the middle of the map.
We've seen this before, but out of the opposite side, right? Toronto known for plays like this. Breach taking a play out of their own book, and he'll catch him off guard. Nice plays from Nero as he'll grab the AR off the ground. The problem being is it's going to have to stay there. A nice little return for Cammy, but still, man disadvantage for Toronto. The bomb's still on the back of TJ. Is Bance aware of the position? Is he going to think that somebody's top 3? Peekaboo! Thank you, Capsidal. 2 down, 2 to go. A clutch situation for Toronto. We'll see if they can make it happen. TJ wiped off the bomb. And now it's off to Methodz again.
40 seconds left. Methodz works his way through back alley. I guess that's going to be a player on the timing. Oh, unfortunate timing coming in from Methodz. Ultra able to take 2 rounds in a row. That's going to be 4-3.
I think that was a 2v4.
Yeah, that was a 2v4. And if I'm Boston right there, you just got to make sure you're putting yourself together. You want to make sure you play the trades.
Especially versus Toronto team, right? Team that's always going to expose any little thing that you'll give them.
They put themselves like towards the end of that round. Once they found those first 2 kills, everybody was just in a position where they really couldn't get out. So like once you lose that first initial 1-on-1, you still have a 3v2, but then you lose that 1-on-1 in a 2v2 situation. Toronto was just able to pick them apart. But Ultra once again going on the attack through back alley. This time though, Boston have 2 players here.
2-2 split for Breach. Ultra aware of it as player 3 and Insight. He'll stay there, so he's going to continue to give that information the best way that he can. At least over toward that plat side. Yet for anybody for Breach, supply some extra forces. It's a great opening kill there for Bance. Meanwhile, Kleenex making his way up through the alley. The only player that was on the A site is now done and dusted, but Kleenex again. Nice plays around the corner. 1 player from one side, 1 player from the other. It's TJ and Nero trying to make a play. Nero with the first bit of information. He's going to get red, and now it's all up to Tej. 1 versus 4.
Yeah, 35 seconds left. 1v4. This is not going to be easy as Toronto clean round. 3 back-to-back-to-back. Puts them at game point. If I am Boston, I am just continuously keeping up the aggression because the early rounds where they were winning, they were just super aggressive. Submachine guns were flying left and right. Right now, this slow and steady game is not working in their favor.
See what the vets look to say. Obviously, in a situation like this, we talked about how search, destroy, how awesome this would be for Boston if they were able to take it. I mean, on top of taking the hard point, the search, destroy versus Toronto would surely give them all the confidence in the world. But it's going to have to start with this round. Advance going to try to take any bit of confidence away from them. The vet versus the Rook, and Capsidal somehow manages to escape. Met with the stun, met with the nade. Capsidal taking every bit of damage possible. And Ultra will settle in.
Yeah, Ultra just back on down. Bands gets away with his life. Now Capsidal, he's able to slide his way in. Cap, I just want to close that window before I work this bomb plant. Not give them any opportunity to try to get in, but here comes Kleenex. He's able to take him off bomb, make it a 3v4.
Yeah, Bans backs up and says, Kleenex, I think this is more of your fight. Toby happy to take any close range fight that he can rather get. 30 seconds left, 3 versus 3. Cammy, quite a few bullets established toward top 3. Meanwhile, TJ's trying to get some work done over on the street, but Nero always on the flank, always causing problems. Blows up the barrel, but somehow Cammy's still alive. Kleenex as well, holding on for dear life as they're going for a ride right now on the docks, but Nero takes down 2, and that will be Boston answering in the biggest of ways. How many situations, Jay, where it felt like one player was gonna die, then they escaped, one player comes on in. So many close quarter fights, but somehow Boston get it done.
Yeah, right there in that situation, if you're the Ultra, you get the bomb down, you already have the man advantage. But then when you allow TJ to even up the numbers, that's what opened up that middle map for Nero. He closes out the round, picking up all 3 to keep Boston alive in this game. Now currently down 5-4. Toronto on the attack. So far, their bread and butter has been going towards this A-bomb, but they're going to do exactly what they just did. But Nero gets first blood this time around.
Boston read it. Nero specifically, they felt like in a moment's notice, Toronto were going to go with the same strat, send everybody through fire. Toronto met with some adversity. We'll see how they look to answer it. Still a lot of time in this round, as half the lobby has fallen. But again, for the breach, it comes down to the vets to send us, potentially, to a round 11. Insight will settle in over at that B site, plant down the bomb. As now the focus instantly gets turned toward the breach side.
And Cammy put himself in a situation and watch this cross for Insight. 35 seconds left, TJ and Methodz, the vets. Trying to clutch it up and force it to go to around 11. TJ is going to get spotted, but he gets away with his life. 25 seconds left. They know the positioning of Cammy. If they can take down Insight, they should instantly hop this bomb.
Oh, they take their Insight. They take him down, but the window's open. Doesn't matter, though.
Hold the cross.
Cammy has no information. Cammy has no information. TJ's on the defuse. Can Cammy get here? He's trying to find the angle. Can he find the angle in time? No, he will not. And Boston down 5-3. Win back-to-back rounds, and now we've got ourselves overtime.
Round 11. Who's got more ice? Boston.
Time to find out.
Able to put 2 rounds together to force us to this round 11.
I love this. This is so good.
This is intense.
This is
so intense.
As we said, I mean, the story has been written. Toronto cannot afford to lose this. Breach on the other end. Nothing but positives if they could pull off a clutch like this, but here we go. This round 11 is about to go down quick, and that's the best way to start if you are Toronto. Taking down Methodz in a powerful position on the breach end, and Cammy will find one as well. Nero called upon, and he'll answer the call. TJ as well takes down Kleenex. A 2v4 now turned to a 2 versus 2. Bans and Insight versus TJ and Nero, and that bomb now being rotated over toward B again.
And number 8, he smells something. But they're still paying attention towards this A-bomb, so Ultra are going to be able to get this down. Your Insight, you just want to be the safety net. He has a sniper to work with. But both of the Boston players being super aggressive towards this B-bomb. They were able to swap hands.
They saw him. They toss out the nade. Gonna go for one. As we said, Toronto with this positioning, I mean, they can afford to look over this for as long as possible. Bans able to take down Nero. 1 versus 1. Insight gets the hit marker. But
gotta go.
TJ's on it. Can he hold Insight? Steady holds the shot, knowing that the game is in the balance. Has to line up that crosshair and just make sure that the second bullet lands. Woo! Toronto hold on after being up 5-3. Breach sends us to around 11, but Insight with that sniper, as we said, we knew he was going to be great with the sniper, but it felt like everybody from Toronto touched the car at some point. It's a big place from Insight. Obviously, at the end, a major 1v1 for him to take. And just like that, Toronto, narrowly, by the skin of their teeth, level us at 1.
And that was almost really scary on the side of Toronto because you put yourself in a 4v2 situation. You get the first blood, you find the kill on the Capsidal, which is the superstar on the side of Boston. But then immediately, TJ and Nero were able to find 2, force it to a 2v2. But Insight, he knew he does exactly what he needs to do, puts himself in the clutch position to get that player off that bomb site. Now we are tied up at 1 apiece. And this is exactly what Toronto needed. They needed to win a map so they could put themselves into this series. And I'm pretty sure every time that they've played Berlin Search and Destroy, it's went down to a round 11.
It just feels like that with this Toronto team. You know, they can't get it done easy. They have to provide some antics. Who knows? Maybe it was even planned at some point. It's definitely not planned. They're in the losers bracket. Nothing is planned of a moment like that. But let's go and take a look actually at our Scump play of the game. We got to take a look at the final few moments in this search and destroy. As we said, Jay, a big moment. For each to get the information on where Bance is. Walk us from that moment.
So right here, there's 30 seconds left. They were able to spot out Bance. Then in this 2v2 situation, Bance gets the perfect timing to get that player like Nero off of that bomb site. TJ finds the tree. Now there's 20 seconds left. A hit marker comes in for Insight. But if you're TJ, this is difficult. You have to try to hop this bomb or at least go for the ego chow. But Insight stretches a little bit to the right side and was able to shoot his butt cheeks off right there to clutch up the map. Now tie the series up at 1 apiece.
Darn it, Tej, if you just would have, you know, brought it in just a little bit more.
A little bit.
Maybe you could have walked away with the game. Who knows? Maybe you'd be up 2-0 right now had it not been for that extra cheeseburger gate last night. But hey, who knows? It's a 1-1 game, and it's going to be an exciting game number 3, folks. When we come back after the break, it is time for some Gavutu control. No 3-0s today. Here we go, friends. We'll be right back.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Welcome back, you beautiful people. It is day 3 at our OpTic Texas Major. Everybody's going nuts. Everybody's going crazy. We don't know what to expect. The eyes of Capsidal have struck us all. We've all found ourselves in love with this guy at some point, and I found myself in love with this great series. It's currently a 1-to-1 game. What, Toronto Ultra answer back in round 11, and Jay, for you and I, we've had 3-0s throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
We've got a guaranteed game 4, baby.
Finally.
I'm ready for this.
Go.
I'm excited about this. By the way, if you're just tuning in, this is what you missed. Yeah, around 11, 5-5 type of moment. Insight lands the snipe. TJ just couldn't clinch hard enough. And with that, as we said, we've got ourselves a guaranteed game 4. Let's take a look at how Social is reacting to this one. What a shot by Winsight. Insight with the ice. And as we said, Jay, obviously as a one of the greatest snipers of all time in your own, obviously, I give you that title. I think you put yourself there 100%. As well. A situation like that, right, for Insight, it feels like a snipe like that is just so customary, but for in a moment like that, I mean, knowing that everything is on the line, I feel a little bit different.
Yeah, 100%, especially when you get the hit marker to start it. Like, you probably should have closed it around 10 seconds ago, but once you get that hit marker, it gets a little scary, but he was able to clutch it up. So now we go into a Kabuto control. Both of these teams haven't really seen a lot of success. Main focal point that needs to be focused for both of these teams is just simply slaying. You want to allow yourself to get that defense just in case it goes to that round 5.
And it's funny, right? Because you and I have casted so much of Boston Breach, specifically in the controls, and it's been a matter of them just not being able to have enough slaying numbers as we, enter in toward those round 5s. And obviously we've heard information that that's going to be changing. But also the biggest problem for Boston, they finally figured out control. They get a W, right, earlier versus Paris, but it was on Tuscan. And now they're back on the old problematic map of Kabuto. We'll see how they can look to try and withstand this Toronto pressure. But as you take a look to the top side of your map, you can see that Ultra are 2 ticks in already. A lot of time to work with if you are the Toronto in. We'll see what Breach can look to try and do, specifically what Big Cap can do toward the cliffs.
And CleanX is a huge one-on-one. He's going to get out with his life, but here comes Cap. Try to slow down that pressure. He's able to find 2. Insight eventually gets the trade. But just look at the mini-map. Look at what CleanX is doing. He's just finessing his way around in the spawn, able to take down 1. Player's going to shoot him right in the back. He's just going to go for the eagle. Child flying.
He's flying. He's ready to fry. Give him some more kills. CleanX is hungry as well. He's ready for him. The rest of his teammates can just barely get out of spawn. CleanX, meanwhile, is just roaming around saying, hey, you know what? This territory is a little bit different. I haven't been over here in a while. CleanX finally taken down, but as we said, a minute on the clock now goes to 23 seconds, and something has to be done from the Toronto end. And boy, they're doing a great job at making their way through that beach side. Cammy looking to watch the flank. P1 is the focus, as that will be the cut in which Breach will look to try and exploit his push. Insight left all by himself. All that remains is going to be Bance, the farthest pushed up player. He'll look to try to provide some pressure. Still over at B, but meanwhile the fights will continue at A. Back to boat we go, and the clock will stop at 6 and some change. Can Toronto get this final tick?
Right now, Boston up by 2 lives. Gonna try to be aggressive on this. Unfortunately, they're gonna drop 3 dead. And right now, Ultra, they have players on both points.
Wow.
They have one player, number 1, which is Bance, just stalling out time while they're picking up every single kill in the feed. They complete A. The second tick is already in for B. This can be bad for Boston if they can't stop this.
Yeah, it does not look great for the moment, but Methodz starting things off quite nicely. Nero gets answered. Methodz says, I'll just do it myself. No problem. Put me in a position to clutch, and I will. Excellent place from Methodz. That will slow down the Toronto push. With 55 seconds left, we'll see what Toronto can do. As we said, we're pretty much even in lives. So 1 more, maybe 2 more good pushes overall if you are the Ultra. As Bance looks to get things started with a nice headshot there on the Capsidal. Breach working off of a decent amount of information, killing players from the front, but it's Insight applying flash pressure from the back, as that'll be 3 in a row for him. Overall, Breach starting to feel the pressure as now they're brought down to just 3 lives.
And Toronto, they're gonna get on it. They should be able to close out this round. Toronto Ultra able to walk away with the very first offense of this game. That's exactly how you want to start. Obviously, we saw Boston towards the later half of that. They were starting to fight back, fighting for that map control. But when you trap yourself in your spawn, all Ultra need to do is just find 1 to 2 kills. You get that player all spawn, and then eventually you set up that pinch. while eliminating that player from the point. Perfectly executed from the Ultra in that round 1.
Jay, it feels like every time we watch Kuavo control, it's one of two things. It's either everybody can just somehow win an attack, or it's just 5 straight defensive victories. For you, what was the biggest difference for there? What do teams need to replicate that Toronto just showed us?
They just did a good job of just being patient. Like when inside, he was able to work his way up the middle of the map. And once he finds that kill, it eventually allows his teammates from top ring to eventually push him and be aggressive and close out the round.
See if Boston can look to try and replicate that. Nice shots coming through from Cammy. He ends up getting taken down. So the game currently lingering the way that it is. Insight now finds himself on 5 in a row. Methodz aware of that as the calls, I'm sure. The communication fully spread out from the breach side, saying we've got to take down Insight and we've got to take them down quick. Methodz trying to do some work through the middle side of the map, and so far he's been successful. Hanging out through middle, while his teammates look to try to push up through P1. A big moment already for Breach. Let's step aside and go to a listening in this very crucial moment for Boston.
I got him.
Push out, top 3 Cammy. Top 3 Cammy.
Okay.
On the rock. Wait, is Cam top 3?
Yeah.
I watch out. Wait a second, Kai. Here's one shot. Couple down. Give me first, I think. Second cut, one shot. Absolute second cut.
I got good time.
I watch. Good time. Cammy finished first 2. I died to bro. What's the back?
Give me that.
I'm gonna take. I'm laying down next to the tank.
Are you in it, is it?
Yeah, I'm on point. You watching over me?
Yeah, I'm over you.
Your pitches up.
This one.
Second cut inside. Pitches up.
Sit down.
Got me.
Go.
Nice. He's on me. Let's go. Copy.
Yo, we guys gotta get A too. We don't have 20 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, they're rapid B.
I think they're on cliff.
You go away alone.
Push me, B, guys.
Second guy, clean it.
Guys, we need to get on point.
I heard that. First, bring tech one shot, guys. One shot. Front house, guys, front house. Going ring steps take.
Flank after flank after flank. Boston not just flanking, but also doing a great job at slaying, but still they sit with just a second left. They can't even get to the time, and somehow Toronto, despite getting outslayed, Toronto continually getting flanked, somehow walk away with the defense as it looked like Boston had that one under control. Jay, what went wrong?
I think Boston, they put themselves in a great position. Once Nero finds those 2 kills, they had 3 down, and then eventually they were able to get on that point. But I think the biggest turning point, what just threw them completely off, had to be Methodz' team nade onto Capsidal, because eventually you have to give up your position, have someone fill that gap. And at that point, you just wasted too many bodies on that left side of the map. Ultra was just able to shut down that B push. Now go up 2-0. Back on the attack. Ultra, they were able to get it done the first time around. CleanX finds the first one. A lot of pressure coming in towards ship.
Nice plays from Vance off the start. We always talk about the initials, specifically on Kuavo for the attacking end, as Vance will now enter in toward 4 kills in a row. Streaks potentially on the minds of Ultra as both SMGs are lighting it up as CleanX. Stamp of approval inside of green, gets taken down off of the 6-free. Meanwhile, all of this is happening at A. The SMGs are frying at the boat. Cammy was trying to sneak his way over at B, and it will be a successful sneak at that. Gets the tick at B, 1 tick at A as well. Some solid progress early for Toronto, but they cannot run into the same issue as Breach. They've got to make sure they've got players stopping this clock, players' bodies on the point. As the map will reset for a moment, and TJ start things off quite nicely. Nice little kill toward the bottom, but Vance and CleanX continuing to slay.
And right now, currently, Ultra up by 4 kills, just in case it does go to that round number 5. But so much map control coming in from Boston. Capsidal was able to find 2. Cammy and the rest of Toronto Ultra trying to attack through that cliff side. This is going to allow Nero to try to hit that flank big one-on-one versus Insight. Only 2 players from the Ultra pushed up farther toward the middle. Methodz taking care of 1. Last player is going to be Cammy. He finds 1. With 15 seconds left, all you have to do is keep him off this point.
Ooh, Nero nearly turning on to the second. Nice reaction. They're out of the rookie. From one rookie to the other, Capsidal now says, it's my turn to slay. Thinking about that round 5, thinking how solid these first 2 have been for Toronto. Breach going to do everything they can to hold on to that advantage. Or rather, to hold on to the advantage that they had in that round. As they'll finally get on the board.
I'm pretty sure Breach, they put themselves in position, at least tied up the kills or put themselves up by 1. So they just have to try to win an offensive round. It all starts with just capturing that A point. You need to get that A point to allow your SMGs to push up through green, hit the late flanks towards top red tower, and eventually try to execute that pinch once again. As the push is going to come in. Cammy trying to put shots down from top green, not able to take down one, but CleanX finds one all the way across the map. Nero with the trade.
Nice trade from Nero. 2 players from Toronto, though, looking to make the pinch happen. Nice crossfire already. Set up by the Ultra. As that will halt the initial play out of the breach. Capsidal's position made known, and well, Cammy will pretty much fill him up with lead in a number of different ways. Every limb taken clean off. Nice plays already out of Cammy. Now he'll sit on 2 in a row. Great work already from the Ultras. They'll look to send Bants flying. And really, Breach, they just can't seem to get a foothold anywhere on the map. As Capsidal will look to try to change that, looking to try and lead the charge for Breach. Get something going. As we're already a minute into this round. See what Breach can look to do as Ultra they're just all over the base. They cannot seem to lose fights. Feels like there's 6 of them right now on the map. A big 1v1 happening inside of the boat. 1 versus 7. Bants is able to take it. Toronto can do no wrong as the clock continues to go.
Now 30 seconds. If you're Boston, you just have to get on this point, but Toronto able to find 2 kills. CleanX finds 2. One player is going to make his way all the way towards B, but he actually is going to get read by Insight. He's going to be one-shot. Methodz has to try to stall time for his teammates to get into play, but eventually he gets taken down. Now with 17 seconds left, the clock does stop. But Toronto Ultra, they're just all over the map. They're just making these kills happen everywhere, just keeping it stagnant. No players from Boston are going to be farther pushed up.
I mean, it feels like there's like 15 Toronto Ultra players. Where did all these guys come from? Breach finally able to stop the clock, but only for a moment. Cammy wins the 1v1, and Toronto will send everybody flying, but Tej at least able to find 2. Nero there for the 3rd, so a moment to breathe if you are Boston. And we'll see what they can do with this advantage as Tej looks to continue to fly. Another big 1v1, loses that. But Breach look poised to take it. They will stack it, and they get that extra minute. Boston hanging on by a thread. And we'll see what they can do with this new life. Down in lives. We'll see if they can make the play and force the round 5.
TJ's got to take his time. All of his teammates are trying to approach that flank side. He does get spotted by Bants, gets him 1 shot. Unfortunately, not able to pick up that kill. But Capsidal, he's able to make his way through the back. Capsidal should be able to make a play. He finds 1, unfortunately does get traded. It's now 9-7 in lives, 35 seconds remaining. TJ Methodz able to find 2. Methodz unfortunately does lose that gunfight to Bants, but they get on that point.
They'll stop it at 30 seconds. The final hold for Boston, what can they do? We'll see what the play looks to be as Nero starting things off nicely with that top P1 position. Bants now in a big 1v1. Who's gonna walk away with it? It will be Bants. No respawns left for Breach. As now it'll be a 3 versus 6. 20 seconds on the clock, and Breach, not only do they have to get onto the point, they just have to get across the map. A lot of positions in which Toronto could be hiding. Can Methodz make the play? Can he find the lane? TJ's opportunity, not able to seize it. All 3 players from Boston fall in a moment's notice. And just like that, Toronto able to chain the search and destroy now into the control. Gavutu is cursed for Boston, clearly, Jay. That's what it has to be. Has to be a curse.
It's gotta be, especially when you come out and lose your very first defense. That was the tone setter from the Ultra. The fact that they were able to go out there, win their very first offensive round, and then follow up with the next 2 defensive rounds, that's exactly how you want to play Gavutu. You can sneak one of those offenses, usually leads to a W at the end of that game. But look at the performance coming in from Bants. This is a guy who I said needed to step up. Didn't really have a good performance in that map number 1, but leading his team 26-22, 17 non-traded kills. He was just putting himself in great position. He only has 2,900 damage. That means he's, with that AR in his hands, probably hitting the late flanks, getting the trade whenever it was necessary, and eventually Ultra put themselves up 2-1 in this series.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know about you, Jay, but it really comes down to actually an attacking round for Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, as we'll take a look through the highlights, that one round in particular for Breach, where they're up and slaying. They seem to have great map control, but they lose a few players, and just like that, despite having everything going in their favor, despite playing what was, it looked like a perfect attacking type of situation, they still lose it. And really from there, Toronto walked away with the advantages. It felt like in that moment, I don't know, maybe it's a situation for Breach, just miscommunication, maybe rookies making plays they shouldn't. I know we've talked about that a lot with this younger type of team. Mistakes are obviously prone to happen, but I don't know about you, but it feels like it comes down to that round.
Yeah, it definitely does come down to the round, and it all started when Methodz accidentally got that teammate onto Capsidal. You had two of your players who were working their way all the way around the back. If Cap was able to stay alive, you put Methodz towards that top ring, you allowed Nero to eventually get those 2 kills, and everyone is still alive. You have everything cut off, and they would have been able to close out that B point. Usually when you close out B, A is a lot easier to hold and eventually capture, but that wasn't the case here. Toronto able to clutch up. And it kind of got scary for me too, because they were just tunnel visioning towards the right. No one was picking the flank, but they were able to clutch up once again and now take the commanding lead 2-1.
Yeah, as we said, I mean, the respawns are everything in this series. We talked about it, right? Search destroys, who knows? It could absolutely go either way. Toronto walk away with that. They answer off of the early hardpoint loss. And now they've got themselves in a prominent position in this series. But let's take a look at social media. Let's see how everybody's reacting to this elimination game. Ultra's blender mode, yeah, it's on. Like you said, Jay, I feel like they had like 10, 15 players on Gavutsu at different moments. They were just absolutely frying in Breach's base. Again, just the multiple layers, the prowess of a team like this. As we said, coming in from Cold War, now into Vanguard. Not many teams did that, right? It was Minnesota and FaZe along with Ultra. They bring this team in, and obviously you see the coach going over things. Marky B and Flux just trying to issue out that information, trying to keep this team level-headed. But as we said, Jay, this team's been here before. They've been in moments like this. We'll see if they can clutch up in the Berlin.
And the only thing that scares me for the Ultra is that they have yet to win a hard point throughout this entire major. They are 0-5. But now they're going into a Berlin hardpoint where they're sitting at 1-1, and the opposite side for Boston, they're sitting at 2-1. But just the way that they played that versus London, once again, losing that by only 45 points, you just have to fix a couple of these little mistakes and just keep the slaying up. Bance, you have to keep up that same performance.
Yeah, you absolutely do. I mean, obviously, we talked about a number of different guys, but Bance specifically is always going to be on the mind. Obviously, the map like Berlin, we're talking about a number of different rotations, a number of different little plays where the SMGs can absolutely have their time. Marky B giving out some high fives, just trying to keep the roster focused. Obviously, on the other end, Zed trying to keep his boys focused as well. What could be our final map of the series. The final map for Boston at this major. We'll see what they can do. We'll see if Breach can dig deep. And I don't know about you, Jay, but I do remember a certain individual who happens to be named Big Cap, who had a nice little moment on this hardpoint map specifically at the kickoff that forced him to a Game 5. We'll see if they can dig deep again, as we said.
And it's all going to start with this P1 hardpoint. All these gunfights that go down in this hardpoint, you have to make sure if you're the team that's spawning on the opposite side towards trains, if you lose those initial gunfights, you cannot give it up so easy. Make sure you send somebody on a route to try to flip those spawns. But here we go. Game 4, Toronto spawning on the better side. You have Nero on our screen who's going for the immediate flank. Kleenex does take down one, but Nero, they're not gonna read this. He finds one, he finds two, trying to go for the third, he finds all three. Give him the fourth. Unfortunately, Bance is gonna take him down. But the spawns do flip for Boston. They can be able to hold this down.
Oh, Nero, he's a dirty boy. I love plays like that. I mean, what, he was in the interview with Maven. He was talking about how, hey, if I am flying, if I'm frying, nobody can take me down, as we'll learn exactly why that's the case. Turns and burns onto Kleenex inside of the middle, and just like that, Breach will find their lane, they will get the spawns, and now they will also accrue the time as well. A great situation as Cap laying down inside of gold. Breach will be set up to walk away with the final seconds at P1. Now, the rotations we go. Bance nearly finds two, but it will be Ultra ready and prepared at Library.
Kleenex huge one-on-one versus Capsidal. As Ultra do have the spawn towards the back, but Methodz, he was able to spot a player. He's actually going to come up behind them as well. Bance makes his way up the steps, but the contest does come in. He's able to take down one, take down both. But the spawns are still there for the Ultra towards that back warehouse. Only 35 seconds remaining on this hard point. If you are Boston, you want to put pressure on this, but you want to make sure you lock down that P3 because it is a money hill.
Yeah, as we know by the graphic, right? One of the primary talk points about Berlin. P3, it's the money hill. We'll see what Boston can look to try and do, and really for Ultra's sake, big position for them, and they will answer accordingly. Nero trying to fry, trying to slay early to allow for his Boston brethren to have some uncontested seconds to start over at Fire. Final few moments, Breach are going to contest this. They want to try to fight this one out. Spawn Ultra as far back as they can. So nice stalling done by the Boston end, but 2 make it 3 will fall, and now the push will come up through street. Player 7 going to be called upon quite early as TJ. Knowing that push is going to be necessary, not just from the street, but also from the plat side. Vance making him work for it, as that'll be 3. Nice shots from Vance, but at the end, Breach will hold on despite the nice play, still with spawns, and soon to be the advantage in terms of score as well.
Boston keep control of the spawns. Now with 30 seconds left, they will be able to take this lead right on back. If you're Boston, number 5, you have to start thinking about that rotation. Cap gonna make his way into Fire. Unfortunately, he does get taken down, but TJ defending this hard point with his life. The vets finding 2 kills. Now with 15 seconds left, this is where you have to push through. You have to try to get through this plat side. TJ gonna run right into a player, able to take him down. But unfortunately, trades go back and forth, so the spawns should still be in the back of that P3 hard point for Boston.
Oh, and a nice play from Cap as well in the middle side of the map. Shout out to the observers letting us know where the arrows happen to be. Cammy not fed the information. As Capsidal finding 2 big ones through the middle. Toronto's still slaying out, but Capsidal, as we said, he's gonna find the 3rd. He is doing this by himself. Great plays from the Røkkr as he'll give the Breach an opportunity. He'll give him a lane. And Methodz taking that, now finds himself on 5 in a row. 2 more, and he's got streaks to work with. How big those could be on a map like Berlin. Some great crossfire. Nobody yet to get in the hill. We're already halfway through trains, and nobody, it feels like, has gotten a single second. That's now 6 in a row for Ziddy. Make it 7. Boston with the time, and Methodz continuing to fry against his old team. Now 8 in a row for the captain. Ultra walking back with their tail between their legs, thinking we at least got to get seconds at P5. A great answer out of Boston as they will reach the century mark and Breach prepare for next.
Yeah, Boston did not have spawns. They basically did not give a single second to the Ultra, and Methodz was able to pick up those kill streaks. So now we find ourselves at this P5 hard point. TJ gonna be the early player in, just soaking up as much time as he possibly can. Does get needed out though. Insight trying to hold down this left side train. aLLeY, he does get taken down by Nero. Right now, the biggest thing, 40 seconds remaining, you want to try to flip these spawns. Look at what Boston are doing. Number 6, taking the route, trying to do it for his team.
Oh, we'll see if it'll work out. Great place from Methodz. He and TJ will combine for 2. So obviously we're in the midst of a hill, folks. We know that, but we're talking about the spawns for next. This hill, not often are you going to walk away with a ton of seconds on it, but based off of how aggressive that Breach have been, that aggressiveness, right, that attentiveness to try to go for the next rotation has only set them up for success. Capsidal, 16 and 10, having a phenomenal performance. As we said, he was the guy who led the way for Methodz to go on that spree over at Trains. As the first set of rotations come to a close, it is Breach basically doubling the score out of the Ultra side as now Nero gets his moment in the spotlight. Back and forth we go, but the rookies performing on the brightest of stages. Breach breakthrough again.
Ultra are rotating, but Boston, their guns are so hot. They're hitting the routes. They're making the game look a little easy. But that's going to be a clean 4 dead. Spawns do flip. So now with 30 seconds left, you already see Boston off the rotation, thinking big picture. Capsidal versus Kleenex is going to be a huge gunfight. Capsidal actually going to go for the flank. He does get taken down, and Ultra, with 20 seconds left, this is exactly how you want to get back into this game. If you're a Boston, you need to rotate, but with TJ shooting like that, takes down all 3. This final 15 comes down to a 1v1.
Oh, and Insight will grab it. Big time for Toronto. As we said, the race is on for the rotation. Final 5 seconds, that's fine, however way it goes. But now it's about Library. Big seconds for Toronto. They cannot afford for this one to go the opposite direction, but again, they continue to walk away with the kills, Jay. As you said, Toronto, they're rotating. They feel like they're in these fights, but the guns of Breach are that much hotter. A nice little turn on from Insight, as we said. Insight versus Methodz is always going to be a fun 1v1 considering the history of the roster changes, but we'll see what Insight can do. He gets taken down in close quarters. As Kleenex tries to apply some pressure from the street, Breach will not go away.
Ultra need to get in. If they do not contest this hill, they're going to basically lose this game, but the spawns do flip. Great work coming in from Boston. They said, hey, you can have this final 25. We're going to hold down the money hill for a full 60 once again. And Methodz still has those streaks to work with. They're securing these spawns. That's why you see them attacking this hill still. But CleanX able to work his way through fire. He does find one. So now the pressure's going to be here. He takes down two. Capsidal, you have to try to do everything you can to stay alive. He finds him. Now with 3 seconds left, Ultra need this break to get back in.
Oh, and Capsidal, a big play to stay alive. Cammy, round the corner. Again, sets up Methodz for the slays in sight. Able to win the 1v1, and that will give Ultra the spawns. A big play granted from the Toronto end, as Nero was at least able to pick apart two. While the fights are going on over at the street inside of the hill, Toronto are winning those as well.
So now with 40 seconds, if you are Boston, you want to attack this through fire, be super aggressive and try to win a couple of these gunfights, but you want to secure those spawns for that P4. 30 seconds, only down by 45 points are the Ultra. A lot of pressure coming in through fire. They're able to find every single kill and flip these spawns. This final 20 is going to go towards the Boston breach. If you are Ultra, you have to think about their rotation. Band's able to find at least one player, but Boston, they're trying to force this game 5.
Is this Boston or the London Royal Ravens? I mean, they're not rotating, but they're still walking away with the kills. Ultra have a nightmare saying this feels somewhat familiar. Again, Toronto put in a position where they cannot afford to allow the hill to go the opposite way. Last time around on the first set of rotations, it was all about Capsidal. So far, nullified. As Toronto happy to take a breather, happy to get a second, but here comes the streak. Right when they start to get comfortable, that is where the glide bomb can come at its most valuable. There goes inside the pants, continues to clean house.
And Ultra still secure the spawns. If you are Boston, you have to try to get in from the front, but Methodz is shooting lights out right now. 23 seconds remaining on this point. Ultra are down by 50 points. A lot of pressure still coming in from Trains. Methodz on another 5 spree, 30 and 17. He's having one hell of a performance in hardpoint. 10 seconds remaining. We're gonna think about that rotation towards P5, but we just want to contest as much as we can.
Breach, another great position. As we said, they continue to contest and they set themselves up for the future. How great of a spot this could be for Nero. Just feels like this guy is always on the flank, always catching Toronto off guard. Breach within 25 seconds from sending us to a game 5. Taking down Cammy as well. Ultra start to scramble. Breach with position. As we said, this can be a very contest-heavy type of hardpoint, but if you're on the Boston side, as we said, you're going to continue to hold this. You can as well start to back on up. 10 more points left, but Ultra finally get the break that they've been waiting for, but TJ finally taken down. Methodz as well does get dropped. It appears that Toronto will do just enough to send us to our next hard point, but Boston are here. Band's trying to make the play. He gets red.
Now with the rotation, Hill's still not popped. No one's trying to play for this P5 time. They could not allow the Boston to get this time off this P1. They will be able to force this game 5. CleanX trying to do everything he can. Unfortunately, lose that gunfight to Capsidal. And time is starting to dwindle. Boston are trying to force the game 5 now.
One final push potentially for the Ultra and 2 more seconds. Boston doing everything they can. Ultra will break in. Ultra win the 1v1s, but it's Cap. It's TJ. TJ wins the 1v1. And Boston will answer in the hard point. As we said, this Breach team will not go away. And Methodz once more having a game and a half. Take a breather. Sip some game fuel, you deserve it. You got your team to a game 5.
He is trying to complete this revenge tour. Zinni is playing out of this world right now. His SMGs are playing so confident. The amount of times that Nero was able to go on that late flank, find 1, find 2, and then eventually find the 3rd, they were just on point. Ultra, that one's gotta be devastated because you were rotating to hills. You were rotating to money hills. But the fact that Boston were able to break in every single time, they were just making that look easy. Now we're going into a game 5. This is insane, man.
It's wild, right? Because as we've talked about with this Boston team, Jay, I mean, they've struggled in hardpoint. Why? Because, well, the slang just doesn't really seem to be there. That was the opposite, right? That was a team who looked like slang was their preferred really type of position. This is not a teamwork type of moment. No, it was just the slang. You know what? Ultra's rotated. Who cares? let's just break down the door and let's walk away with this game. Zinni going off, dropping 33 and 21, I believe. Boston walking away with double hard points, and Ultra, they can't continue to catch a break, man. Continuing to drop hard points, and now they've got themselves a game 5. As we said, folks, winner of this game, guaranteed top 4. Jay sweating, and so am I. Who's going to take it? Who's going to advance to CDL Sunday? We will find out when we come back after this break.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew.
It is nearly Game 5 time, folks, between the Boston Breach and the Toronto Ultra. It has been a grinder of a series, a top 4 guaranteed placement on the line, with the loser being headed home. Welcome back to the Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas. If you're not here, well, you're missing out. We have had a great CDL Saturday, and now it all comes down to this for both of these teams. Jay, wow, looking at our numbers so far, we talked about it, right? Methodz on the revenge tour. How about these numbers?
1.32 KD, 80% non-traded kills. The guy is a man on a mission. On the opposite side for Cammy, sitting at a 0.98. He has a little bit more engagements than Methodz does, but what a battle between both of these teams, man. We're all the way to a Game 5. On Tuscan, we have on one side Boston, who are 2-3. On the opposite side, Ultra, who are 3-2. I don't know how this is gonna go. This is gonna be an absolute banger of a Game 5.
Yeah, it absolutely is, especially if Zinni continues to go off. You see the array of tweets, right? Everybody talk about it. Zinni is frying. Jay, as somebody, right, who I know has faced off against teams that maybe where things didn't end out the greatest, right? Yeah. Maybe you got dropped, maybe you got traded, who knows? What is it like to be in Methodz' shoes? As we said, representing the Nord, that it's their first major, going up against your old team, a roster who's expected to be in top 4. Give us a taste of what it's like for Methodz coming into this Game 5.
You basically have powers. Like when you're going against your ex-team, there's nothing more that you want than to beat these guys. You're looking at all your teammates from left to right like, guys, I want this one. Let's go out and perform. And so far, he is leading this team to victory. Into this Game 5 we go, though. Players that I'm looking out for. It has to be Capsidal. He started off that first map, he was 10-3. He ended the map 12-9, really slowed down towards the later half. But just the way and the confidence that they were playing with that map 4, you have to keep with that aggression. Nero and Cap have to be the game changers here.
Here we go, Arlington, Game 5, Ultra versus Breach. Into our round 1 we go. As we said, it's been David versus Goliath. And right now, Goliath is dazed. We'll see how he looks to try to turn things around, as it's an accidental team kill to start off round number 1. Insight takes down Vance. And with that, Breach, they've got themselves the main advantage right around the corner. Goes Insight, making up for his wrongdoings, now a 2v2.
30 seconds left. They're able to spot a couple players in towards top fire. That you're not going to give up your life for free. As the clock is starting to dwindle down. Come on, Insight. Let's pick up an MP40 in his hands. But there's only 17 seconds left. You have to get this guy on fire. But Capsidal, he made his way all the way to church.
Capsidal quite nicely hanging out toward church when you look at the position, right, for Toronto. One guy's at the bomb, and he's got 2 different areas to look at. Big plays coming in from the rookies. The coordination from these 2 as well. A massive round to kick this one off, and as we said, it comes from the young guns. The guys who we hope can go big for this Breach team throughout the remainder of the season in Search and Destroys. They've never been on a brighter stage, but they answered nicely off the start there.
So now on the attack, on board here with Ultra.
Oh, I was gonna say, don't do it.
Side does have that snipe, just waiting for somebody to turn this corner. See the way Boston are playing this. Just waiting to set up a teammate on towards this bomb. Trying to attack this to the middle of the map.
Constant hit markers gained. Oh, Capsidal had some information. Kleenex hanging out in the Shotzzy spot that we happened to learn earlier. I'll see that one in rank, that's for sure. Vance, meanwhile, finally getting the clearance to plant down that bomb at A. Meanwhile, Methodz does take down the head of Cammy. Where all that information is stored, the comms are still there, though. You've got 3 positioned at the bomb. That could be perfect for Kleenex, but no. Still on the defuse, gets another line of sight and takes him off the bomb. 20 seconds left, and TJ, he's gonna hop on it. Inside aware of such, can he go big? Kleenex did it earlier. TJ will hold, TJ will hold, TJ will hold!
What a round out of Boston. To go out there and just body stack. Methodz just putting down shots the entire time, but let's take a look at the collat coming in from Insight. He spots Methodz, but unfortunately, he lines it up with Vance. First collat that we've seen all season.
Of course it happens like that.
Unfortunate. Unfortunate.
But I mean, what? Both of these rounds have been unfortunate, right? If you're Toronto, like I said, Breach are just body stacking at the bomb. They have the unfortunate team kill in round 1. They cannot take the player off the defuse. And just like that, Toronto down 0-2. They've got to come up with an answer. as Breach will be on the attack. One player up close at the church is going to be TJ. We'll see what he can do. Challenged, pressured, and Bance will take it. Bomb goes down.
Great nade coming in to get that first blood, and Bance and CleanX trying to shut this round down. Now left up to Capsidal in the 1v2. Fortunately, the movement is not going to be on point, but he does spot Bance, and then eventually does get taken down by Insight. So good round from Ultra to stop the bleeding. They open up with that first blood, even though the bomb goes down. Great team coordination to hit that nade towards the middle of the map, take down TJ, and eventually take control of the round.
Yeah, like, I mean, we've talked about it like in the hard point. Like, hey, you know, obviously Toronto, they have to win this rotation. They have to win this hill. Same thing can be said already in the Search and Destroy. 2 frustrating rounds, right? If you're Toronto, the way they come out, the way they take that, what this team had to have. Going down 3-0 versus this Breach team who, as we said, I mean, what, start off the season, they were 4-0. They were the best Search and Destroy team in the game. As we said, Titans going at it, especially in this Search and Destroy mode. As Ultra will claim 1, and now they're back on the attack.
And they're going to try to take this through the middle of the map this time around. A couple players from Boston just playing it towards top church, trying to set up this team nade. Look at number 5 in your mini-map. He's trying to approach that late flank. TJ does get that first blood. Now if you're Ultra, want to take your time.
Definitely do. Like I said, TJ, first blooded last round. Will make good on it this time. Insight still hanging out toward the field. Just allowing for Bance to get that one down. Breach with the man advantage. We'll see what they'll look to do in the 4v3 retake. We know how great the Boston have been. After finding the first blood, CleanX staying alive. Can he walk away with the kill? No, Methodz is there on the answer. 3 versus 2. Dead silence popped, and Bance gets red in the back of the base. It all comes down to Insight, but they know he's here. They know he's here. Pressured from the flank, but Breach will take him. It felt like for a moment Insight gets a few extra hit markers onto Methodz. But just great awareness from Boston to take him down, to apply the forces in his position.
That play from Nero, just to push straight through that A bomb. He finds that kill towards the player that was basically watching the deep flank of that player that was sitting in towards top fire. Once he finds that kill, this is a 3v1 situation. All of Boston know this guy has to be playing the clutch towards top fire. Capsidal unfortunately does drop, but Nero's there immediately for the trade. And you could just see the confidence is flowing in these young players. Methodz leading away at 5-2. Back on the attack they go. A couple shoulders towards the left side, but look at Ultra. They're trying to set up for a mid push.
Insight misses the snipe. Bance, well, he misses the shots up close. Ultra have to back up, and they will gear up inside of church. Looking to reposition, as we said, players already lingering to the middle side of the map for Boston. That plant will go down. As we said, Cap watching the push from P5. Looking in from well. The snipe will land from Insight, and Cap put in a big position to answer. He'll do so. Gets tagged up from Insight. Cammy will finish him. Ultra with numbers, all up to Tej. He drops as well. Toronto, an excellent retake in that position. Put in a moment to clutch, and they will answer the call. 2-3.
It all starts with that first blood. Once Insight was able to take down Methodz, it's basically TJ in the middle of the map. He was able to at least find one, but the trade comes in. And then eventually the late flank from CleanX, able to find this final kill onto TJ and take the round. So now if I'm the Ultra, so far, they have just been taking their time on these offensive pushes. I would like them to just get this bomb down, take the round to them, force these young SMG players to make plays.
A very, very tense moment begins to instill itself more and more in this search and destroy.
Yes.
P5 we go. CleanX is here. He loves this position. Is at least able to take down one. Boston send a flurry of players over at that position. So while CleanX will be taken down, he at least allows for that information to be gained for the A plant. Now all on to Boston in the retake. Bance aware of the flanks that could be inbound. Player number 3 Insight, he's able to sneak away.
Insight, he's the guy that's going to be the game changer here. Doesn't have any eyes on bomb, but he does take down one. Forces it to a 2v2. 20 seconds left. TJ does hop it.
Not again. TJ hops off the bomb. The Bance wins the fights. They know he's there. They know his position. Only 10 seconds left. TJ, not a chance. Toronto answer back again.
And that's just good work coming in from Insight. To play that repositioning, even with the sniper pistol in his hand, pushes his way through that left side, makes his way into Church, and then once Methodz found that kill, immediately gets the trade. Clock is starting to dwindle. Eventually, someone has to hop this bomb, but Ultra setup right there was able to close out that round, now tied up at 3 apiece.
I hate to call it, Jay, but it just feels like it's round 11.
Yeah.
I mean, back and forth we go, 3-3. Feels like it'd be the perfect way for this series to end. As we said, the revenge game, a massive moment for Toronto, an even bigger situation for Breach. But hot and heavy into this round number 7, and it's Kleenex saying a prayer, tossing out the nade, and finding Nero for the first blood as Breach look to rebound. And they've got a full and open B site.
Absolutely. He's taking control of their spawn. It's all gonna be on TJ. If he could find this kill, unfortunately does not. So now in a 4v2 situation, bomb is going to be planted. Teamwork so far for Ultra has been on point. His Insight trying to work his way through the back. Gonna try to strafe on this heady, but Cammy's here for the assistance.
Trying to remain patient, trying to remain patient. Capsidal able to find one. He ends up getting taken down, and with that, the retake will be successful from Toronto. They start things off with a great nade. Cammy finds the close and personal fight inside of Church. And from there with numbers, despite the bomb rotation, Breach not able to hang on.
Yeah, it all comes down to that 1v1 versus TJ. If TJ was able to win that gunfight, force it into a 3v3, Cap put himself in a great position to at least hold down the back of their spawn. Well, once it was at that 4v2, it's 2-2 split, played the trade, eventually able to close out the round on the Ultra. And that all started off with that great team nade. They force stack towards that A bomb, they get that first blood, and then they just play it patiently until that bomb gets planted.
You just saw it in that moment, right? Methodz and TJ, back and forth they go. The vets making the calls. Big round for Breach, and Methodz drop from the top side of Church. Cammy will answer with both. And Insight right on cue with Nero. It's beautiful search and destroy. It's music happening on Tuscan. 4 down in 4 seconds.
Such a clean round coming in from Ultra, all in the back of Cammy. Once he finds that first blood onto Methodz, you saw that Boston in the 3v4, they usually win a majority of those rounds, but Cammy does not give him positioning. He watches 2 players jump out of top Church. He takes down the second. Insight finds the third, and that was the cleanest round of this search and destroy that we've seen so far. Ultra put themselves at game point.
That was beautiful. Look at the streak that Toronto find themselves on as well. That just goes to show you the slang that they've been doing in these last few rounds. Breach, we'll see what they can do. Already 1 round away from being eliminated from the major. On the attack, Nero with the bomb in hand. Waiting to lay this one down. TJ misses the snipe, but at the very least, Methodz takes down Bance in the opening engagement. Oh, that nade could be big. Insight just able to get out of harm's way. The nades exchange, and there goes Kleenex.
So now in the 4v2. If I'm the Ultra, and if I'm Insight, I just want to stay alive. You're on a 5 streak, you could potentially pick up some streaks, but Cammy does take down 1. But you see Insight backing all the way to the spawn. You want to make sure he plays his life, as Cammy's also on a 4 spree as well. He's going to spot Methodz, take him down.
Wow.
But now in the 2v2, he's on it.
He's on the defuse. He's on the defuse. Somebody from Boston has to get here. Cap looking for information. Looking for information. Cammy will drop. He was moments away from getting the defuse, but Boston, despite being pressured, Capsidal with the steady hand on that MP40 puts in the necessary bullets to give them another round.
And right there in that round for Boston, when you're down, trying to fight back into this game, I really didn't enjoy seeing TJ pull out that sniper in that round. If you're TJ, you need to be a playmaker. You cannot pull out the sniper, eventually not do anything, but they were able to win that round. Now on the attack are going to be the Ultra, all out middle push, but here comes Boston.
Oh, Insight! He had 2 players ready to go. Fires it early, and fortunately for him, that will open up the site now for Breach, but Cammy done. Few missteps early for Toronto. Those things could add up, but based off the positioning that Bance has got as well, this could be the bomb moved over toward B. The only player in ear's distance of this is going to be TJ. Bomb down. It's going to be planted. Now 4v4. Nobody get the drop. The Methodz could get into this fight nice and early.
And here we go. 35 seconds. Insight all the way in the back of the spawn. Is eventually time to put some pep in your step. Nero does find that first blood. Insight is going to be behind him, though.
Oh.
He does get the trade. Now with 25 seconds left, Boston need to try to pick up these kills.
20 seconds left, Bance. Oh, he was hanging out on the floor. TJ takes him down. Cap also gets wiped away from trying to go for the defuse. 15 seconds left, and I believe the glide bomb is going to get used. It's going to get used. Can Methodz defuse this in time? Can Methodz lock it in? No, he will not. From the skies, Insight deciding the round and deciding the game. Revenge denied from Toronto. And of course it comes down to Insight and Methodz. If he was on the defuse, what, Jay? A second earlier. It felt like a lifetime before that glide bomb came down, but it gets him just in the nick of time. Revenge avoided and top 6 avoided. Toronto will stay alive. Guaranteed top 4, and just like that, the Breach eliminated from Major 1.
Toronto stepping up in the game 5, especially Insight. 12-2 with a sniper. He put himself in a great position. It came down to that round where it was 5-3. He stays alive all the way in the back of the spawn, but you see it right here. Look how close Methodz was to getting that defuse. But once Insight was able to pick up that glide bomb, he played it so beautifully. Right there, they were playing so patient on their offense. They allowed Bance to get pushed up into radio, and they get that bomb down in a 4v4. And Insight plays it in the spawn, eventually catches Nero in the back. Once he picks up that kill, he already has the glide bomb to work with. That was flawless S&D from Insight with the sniper pistol in his hand.
Yeah, man. As we said, the adjustments that the Ultra have made, it showed out. As we said, I mean, what? It was, I think it was an early interview with Bance. He's talked about how Search and Destroy, that's the lifeblood of this team. That is the mode that they are going to be relying upon throughout this elimination bracket run, throughout the remainder of however long they'll exist at this OpTic Texas Major. Search and Destroy is how they can get it done. Hard points, I mean, hey, who knows?
Who knows?
But Search and Destroy, they get the job done. And as you said, Insight, 12-3. We talked about it, Jay. Methodz, the revenge tour type of game. Boston, they go out. But you got to be happy if you're a Breach fan, right?
100%. For such a young team to come in here and take a team like the Ultra, who were the second best team all year last year, to a game 5 and to lose it in a 6-4, it's typical for the Boston Breach, man. Such a brand new rookie team. You just got to fix a couple of those mistakes. Obviously, before the series even started, they were on a 3-game Search and Destroy win streak.
Yeah.
But they lose both here. Very close, 6-5, 6-4. It could have went either way. But still, Toronto just have a little bit more ice in their veins.
Yeah, they do indeed, my friend. Toronto will live to see another day. As we said, top 4 solidified at least for the Ultra. An unbelievable type of performance, but now it's time to head it over to the stage. Over to the main stage we go. It is Maven, joined alongside by Cammy.
How you doing?
I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I'm stressed. But we got it done, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like your team's always kind of been hard to beat, right? Like, you push long series, but you're 0-6 in your last, like, 6 hard points. It feels like you're making it hard on yourselves.
No, yeah. I'm honestly, I couldn't tell you what we're doing in hard point in the moment. The first map was really bad from us. We started off really hot and just threw it completely. And then some maps were just straight up playing terrible. So we got to sort that out going into Sunday, and because, you know, there's some good teams there.
Well, I mean, the fact is, even if it's felt grindy, it's felt tough at times, you get to Sunday, you get to top 4. Is it now just about belief in the boys and finding the magic you found all last year?
I think so, yeah. I think we're going to look over what we've done wrong on the hard points, obviously, the last few days. We've been looking at it, trying to sort it, but obviously nothing's working at the moment. So hopefully we get it sorted for tomorrow because there's some demon teams left.
I mean, it feels like if the hard point, if you can get that like 50-50 right now, like, you can take this whole thing.
No, yeah, I know. We just need to, if we get one on the board where S&D's looking really good, controls looking good too, so just got to sort out the hard point will be sweet.
Well, hey, good luck with the prep tonight. I mean, I got to cast again. It's already 9 p.m. local or something. We've had some gruelers, some grinders, as you were just part of one. But good luck tomorrow. You're in the top 4. You're into Sunday. Take it easy, and we'll get it back to the desk to bring it down.
All right. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. Once again, my name is Velly, breaking things down with Bryce, Nameless, and Ali. And Bryce, man, Toronto definitely scared me, okay? They're struggling in the hard point, but they definitely found a secret weapon and insight when it comes to search and destroy.
Yeah, that's a positive way to look at it here. At what point did Ultra become a 2-3-5 team? That's what I want to know. Like, coming into this tournament, that's unacceptable, realistically, for this team. Bearing in mind who's left in this event, they cannot expect to keep doing the 2-3-5. They've already failed against London. They need to regain fully tonight because they cannot rely on outrageous performances from Insight over and over again.
That's European passion right there out of Bryce. Hey, I think that was a credible performance on the side of Toronto Ultra. Granted, the hard points, obviously, they weren't the best, right? It seems, I can't wait till the official stats come out and we know how many times they got broken, but every time they tried to set up 15, 20 seconds, they would get broken. And even in the match that we saw earlier in the Toronto Ultra, we heard them in the list and they're like, we just got to do a tight setup. It just seems like sometimes they don't exactly know what their goal is or what they want, how they want to set up on the hill, and it's leading to them getting broken way too easily. But to talk about the search and destroy, wonderful out of them, especially in that last map. The round 7, the swing round, when they stayed back church, right side, double nades over to kill Nero. Dude, that was perfect.
It was right, and also just the bomb coming down, like clutching it out. Insight was fantastic, 12-3 by the way, but also Cammy is someone I really want to highlight.
I hate to disagree with some on the desk that I don't think that was a good performance out of Toronto Ultra. I really think up until about mid in that S&D, they were down horrendous. Cammy especially, we had focused on him a lot when it comes to search and destroy, but thankfully they turned it around round 4 and 5. Cammy went from like almost dropping a donut to having 8 kills by the end of it, so huge turnaround for him, but at the end of the day, it was Insight making plays to keep them on the board, and like Bryce said, they cannot keep putting that on his shoulders to be their win factor.
I kind of disagree with that part. I don't think it was all Insight. They had some really good plays. I mean, I think it was the round 9 as well, where they show a look over at A and then they just insta-wrap over to B and get the bomb down. That's teamwork, right? That's experience that they got from last year. So I really think there's some semblance of strategy there. These guys know what they want to do. The communication is there. It's just high-stake gameplay, right? Like, this is a Game 5 versus a hot Boston Breach team. It's going to get muddy, and Methodz was absolutely going off as well, especially early on in this game. So it just got a bit stressful, but in the end, Ultra were able to clutch up, and this is that round that I was talking about that was just beautiful on the side of Toronto Ultra.
I agree. It's Toronto Ultra. They are one of the best teams, and I guess our expectations for them are much higher than some of these other teams, and by the end of it, they kept the composure. They were able to bring it back even though they were down a round, so obviously congratulations to Toronto Ultra. They make it into Sunday now, hopefully for a couple of redemption matches.
Yeah, and you know what the thing is? I mean, I can see both points right now, but especially what Ali's saying, Toronto Ultra being the second best team last year, and what we've been seeing throughout the qualifiers to get here, they're keeping it close with that loss to London, and then what happened, they could have lost to Boston as well. That was pretty scary, especially coming from you, man. European boy.
Hold on. Okay, I know we lean into this bias.
Stressed. Don't lie.
I am very stressed. I'll tell you why, right?
Okay.
Because I know there is Toronto Ultra, one of the most prepped teams in S&D. Okay. That's the reason they won that S&D. We're talking about Insight going off, Cammy going off. Cammy had a gunfight or 2 gunfights where he didn't even miss a bullet, just shredded Boston, right? But the rest of that series, the rest of the entire series, like Capsidal was just insane. Methodz was going off in the S&D. Like, how on earth, right, do you think that Boston should really be measuring up to Ultra after the pedigree of both of these two teams? For me, if you match Boston up against any of the other teams in this tournament, I would take the other team over Boston every single time. It's not the same case for Ultra. No disrespect. I think at the moment, Boston is a mid-level team, right? Their skill ceiling is not as high as some of the elites left in this competition. Ultra, I think, are down bad.
I completely disagree with that. I think their ceiling is incredibly high. They just haven't learned what kind of team they are yet and what their pacing is. This is a very young team that has yet to have any sort of run together, and they have yet to figure out what kind of team they are. LA Thieves, they are an AR clinic team. LAG, they are a slay-heavy team. They're an aggressive team. Florida, the same type of deal. Boston is a giant question mark. We don't know what they're capable of yet, but we have seen lights at the end of the tunnel in players like Methodz, who just had a lights-out series by himself. Capsidal has had shining lights all throughout. Nero has stepped it up completely since the beginning of the qualifiers. I think there's a lot to say for this Boston team.
And speaking of which, you really liked the performance from Methodz when it came to this game. Mr. Zenny was doing his thing.
He was, dude. He had like a 1.5, I believe, in the hard points. You can't be allowing one player to go like 33 and 18. Him alone was winning that hard point for them.
You got that right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket to see how things have unfolded. This is day 3, and it has been so long so far. Upsets, surprises, dominance, OpTic winning. We got everything that we ever possibly could have asked for. But Toronto Ultra sitting down there, elimination round 4, waiting for the winner of the next game. LA Thieves versus the Atlanta FaZe. Nameless, I'm gonna be real with you, dog. I don't even know what to expect anymore.
I kind of have an idea of what to expect here. I mean, we have the maps. It's Tuscan, Gab, and Berlin. LA Thieves are undefeated on both of these hard points. The problem for LA Thieves is the other maps they are not great at. Both Search and Destroys, 1 and 2, 0 and 3, and 1 and 3 on the Tuscan Control. It's gonna get interesting, man. They're gonna have to capitalize on a beatdown FaZe, but does FaZe come back stronger?
Hey,
we'll find out.
We'll find out. All right, Bryce, before you throw it to a break, make it real fast. I want a prediction for the next series right now, all right? Are you going to cop out and do the easy one?
I mean, no, it's not the easy one. It's the obvious one. It's still FaZe at the end of the day, right? Like, we're sitting here and pretending it's not FaZe. Yes, they lost in a reverse sweep, but it's still FaZe.
Yeah. Downplay the Thieves, though. It's going to be a bad.
Oh, no, the Thieves are great,
Thieves
but it's
are good,
still
man.
FaZe.
True that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more game to close out the day, the final series. The Los Angeles Thieves are taking on the Atlanta FaZe, and they're in the losers bracket. We don't even know what's about to happen, but we'll catch you on the other side of this break for some more CDL action.
Exhausted, I needed the energy, needed to pick me up. I'm in your movie, but this is my cinema. I got the power, I'm built to devour. Anyone coming against me, I tower. I don't care in the pressure. Some of y'all leaving here in the stretcher. Took my time to go and get better. I was reading in the red letters. Ay, hit me with your best shot. I got time today. Feeling like a matador with that Red Bull. Oh, no, you can't stop me. I'm running my own play. For the game win, I came to pin anything that gets in my way. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Been here, we done that. We done that. You all know what we came for. Energy. I'm in the game like EA. Been in my process pre-K. Shooting my shot from long range. Going over heads like a toupee. Treat every day like payday. Y'all been living so mundane. My work week is Sunday to Sun. Oh wait, that's every day. Putting in overtime. Punching the clock, I'ma get what's mine. While everyone's sleeping, I'm living my dreams. I got a coin that's so divine. Lord, take the wheel like 10 and 2. I'm losing energy, I'm overdue. I've been on the top ropes, hitting my pros. Watch me hit the power moves. Been here.